On today's episode, we'll find out what kind of gear Franklin and I use. We'll talk about our musical preferences, things that we like to listen to, and then we'll talk about our favorite pawn shop finds, thrift store finds, just the cool things we found in the garbage.
Hi everyone, we're glad you're back with us, listening to episode 2 or watching if you're on YouTube. Right now,
the other video things, or whatever they all are.
Right now, we are going to be talking about the gear that we use on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. So, what about you got? What you got, Matt? What gear are you using?
I like guitars.
You like guitars?
Guitars are my favorite instrument. More serious note. I am not always the most praise and worship appropriate guitarist. I feel like you should use what you want instead of a Telly or a Gretsch every Sunday. Though those are great, don't get me wrong. But I've got way too many guitars. So I'll just kind of run down a list of some things that I use on a regular basis. At church, again, we don't have ISO cabs, and so I'm using the cab filter on the Big Sky. Strymon, sorry for all you haters. I'm a Strymon guy. So I use that to run directly into the board, and really the cab filter on the Big Sky is pretty legit. Pretty good. It sounds nice. But I do run, when we play out other places when we actually mic amps. I do have a Dr. Z, a Maz 38, which is way more amp than I needed. But man, a Dr. Z is just clean, and it's got so much initial bite.
That punch.
Oh, yeah. It's a fantastic amp. But pedal board wise, Strymon pedals, boutique overdrives, the Bloomery volume pedal. The active Bloomery, great volume pedal, but they're kind of falling to the wayside. I'm seeing a lot more people using the Lely pedal, and then those of you that are using the String Demon as I call it.
Oh there's some that last for like 10 years with no breaks, and then some that last for
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Have you replaced one of those ever before?
No, I hope I would never replace one of those.
I did for a guitar student of mine. I rigged 2 paper clips together to hold it and be able to pull. Another story for another time. But guitar-wise, I'm a Paul Reed Smith player a lot of times. But Sunday mornings, you'll find me playing a Duesenberg, a Star Player TV. Or a Les Paul, which is some of the less praise and worship appropriate. The dude in Kerry Job's band at that time, we went and saw them play a Les Paul. So whatever. But man, I love a good Les Paul. When they're right, and it's real good. So that's kind of the gear I'll use on a regular basis. Boutique pedals. Fairly appropriate guitars and a cab filter to run direct in. Franklin, I'll be honest with you, I don't know enough about keyboards to know what you use on a regular basis. He plays keys. It's great.
Actually, the way I use it is actually at church. I'd use a Roland NX 300 or 300 NX, something like that. But it's a relatively inexpensive. It was roughly around $1,200 to $1,300. So it's not one of those Roland 800 series or Roland 700, which costs $1,800 to $2,000, plus. But for the price point, the sounds you can get out of it. I play it every single Sunday. I mean, we've had that thing ever since I got to the church. We needed something that had some built-in pads in case I wasn't able to play with you guys or something. But it was there, but I use that on a regularly basis every week at church. And then for my personal stuff, I mostly can use whatever, really, because I mostly use MainStage, so I can hook up as long as they have MIDI hookups. I could hook up any keyboard. So right now I've got a cheaper Yamaha. It's a weighted keys. It's a Yamaha. It's 88 key I don't even remember. They changed their number scheme so many times. they do literally, it's the same keyboard, but they just changed the number scheme. I don't get why, but I guess this is a marketing scheme. They got to change something for every year. But but it's a Yamaha. It's a more student model, but I just got it hooked up to my Mac Mini or my MacBook, and I just go straight through main stage. Shout out to Abel Mendoza, who created Worship, the Worship Essentials. Oh yeah, that is some good stuff right there. That's what I use on whenever I help with the youth, whenever I go out. That's all I use, Worship Essentials. And the sounds are there. I got a nano control, and so I just take the nano control and my MIDI cable. And as long as there's a keyboard at any church, plug it up, boom, boom, computer, and the sound goes straight through, and I'm good. I'm set to go. So as long as I have a MIDI controller, if they don't have a MIDI or a keyboard there that has MIDI, then I just take my 49 keys, a MIDI controller that I have, and it could be any, really. I'm not picky about weight, unless it's going to be an 88 key keyboard, then, but other than that, I'm not too picky. So it's run and gun. I love it. It's super simple setup. But main stage is the best bang for your buck. If you've got $30 to spend it on main stage. If you're a keyboard player, it is top notch, top of the line.
Kind of some interesting notes about that. When we go out and play, sometimes we will run his computer directly into an amp. We use a bass amp sometimes, or depending on the setup. If we've got our PA, we use the Bose PA systems. We've got an L1. We've got a couple of L2s that our bandmates kind of we all own collectively, and just run the keyboard directly into it, and it's. Main stage doesn't skip a beat. It's fantastic. And then the other cool thing that we do that a lot of folks don't necessarily do is the actual pads that you hear underneath all worship music. A lot of people use an Ableton, using programs to just set those pads behind. Franklin plays the pads underneath everything he does, and with that, with the nano controller, he's running the volume of those up and down. So we do everything. Again, no click track, no in-ears, very live performance, kind of playing, and it works, and it works very well.
Works very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, kind of from that, we also want to talk about on today's episode musical preferences, just to kind of get to know us a little more and kind of know what our background in music is. So, Franklin, what's your? I actually don't know other than worship music. We were finding out about each other while we're here. It is fantastic. What do you normally listen to?
On a normal day-to-day basis, I didn't grow up listening to rock or hip hop or rap, and so I listened to the pop of the 80s, Bryan Adams, my dad, whatever my dad listened to, I guess that was kind of what I listened to, but I didn't really even listen to it. And so it was, as I grew older, I found my taste. So I finally started expanding my stuff, my musical taste into like Switchfoot. So I guess that would be more of the harder. I mean, I love me some Switchfoot. So Switchfoot, and I learned a lot of Switchfoot songs when I was younger. And then Chris Tomlin, and then slowly, little by little, I just started transitioning more into all I really listened to was worship. And to this day, I mostly listen to worship. Elevation, Bethel, Chris Tomlin, of course, all the Passion CDs that come out. Jesus Culture.
A lot of their stuff.
Just the big, bands that release those, their albums. Hillsong, I listen to them. Just listening to those tones, the keyboard tones that they have, that they continually create and make new. It's like, oh dude, I love that piano part. Oh, that guitar tone. Oh, I love that lead line. I love it. I mean, so to this day, I listen occasionally to the radio, but I'm not a big fan. It's repetitive. They to me, radio nowadays it's repetitive. The pop music, the hip hop. I try to go back and listen to them sometimes, and I'm just same thing over and over again. So I can't do it. So I usually am listening, hook up my phone, Bluetooth it, or to an aux cable, and just go back and forth between Elevation, Bethel, Jesus Culture. So that's kind of really where my musical taste kind of has grown. And yeah, so sorry for all you guys who love, some Prince and Michael Jackson. And so I know, and like the Eagles. And I didn't grow up with that. That's not something that I grew up listening to. And I'm sorry, but here I am now, and all I really listen to is worship. So,
on my end of the spectrum, it's a little bit wilder ride. I've listened to all kind of stuff over the years. I had a lot of friends in high school that were big into the metal thing, so I've listened to a lot of metal bands. Been dragged to a lot of metal shows where I couldn't hear anything but a loud buzz and a large Nordic man screaming at me. But so from there, in being a guitarist, we all kind of gravitate towards the regular guitar stuff. The Jimi Hendrix and the Led Zeppelin. I almost forgot who Led Zeppelin was. Oh my gosh! But yeah, classic rock has been of course, a big thing. I think everybody loves classic rock to some degree, especially guitar players. And then that graduated into I really like some 70s funk and soul. Man, Earth, Wind and Fire, anything Stevie Wonder ever did. Like a huge fan. And then in college, like we talked about in the first episode, I was introduced to jazz. And I just kind of fell in love with jazz and a lot of the jazz artists. Miles Davis, Wayne Shorter's a big one. I absolutely love it. And I got into Al Di Meola. I actually have his model PRS, the Prism.
Yeah.
You've seen him play it a million times.
Yeah.
Fantastic guitar. So big Al Di Meola fan, especially his stuff with Return to Forever. And then later on, with some of his other albums, Elegant Gypsy and all that stuff. So big jazz fan, big classic rock fan, big funk fan. The Eagles might be my favorite band. I'll just throw that out there. To me, it doesn't get better than what those guys did, except for worship stuff. So once I got into the worship scene, I loved the guitar tone, all the delay and reverb, how it sounded. It was otherworldly. It was just some of the tones just soared over the top of the music, and it, you kind of go on a journey with it. And once I got into that, I started listening more to Hillsong and Hendroff and Chris Tomlin Band and Daniel Carson. I love Daniel Carson's playing. He does some very stylistic things that I'm a huge fan of. So yeah, once I got into worship music, I listened to the same things that everybody else did. So if you get in my car with my aux cord, you might hear "Take It to the Limit," followed by Chris Tomlin right afterwards, and we're gonna have a good time. So yeah, that's kind of my overall regular guitarist stuff. I don't like Jimi Hendrix. I will say that. I think he's overrated. Now I'm in public saying I think Jimi Hendrix is overrated.
I wouldn't know again. And like as I grew up, I started listening more to those different ones, and it just never stuck. And that's the thing. Like I've heard Eagles songs. I've heard some of the Beatles. I've listened to all these different artists, but I don't know. It never stuck. And it's great. Their songs are great, but it's just not my taste. Something that I'm like, oh, this is this is so good. I don't know. I'm like, it's just one day. Maybe it will click, but right now I'm just not.
We're both very different. We're both very strange when it comes to our music taste. But that works. It's always worked. We've always we've clicked very well over the years, and that's something we'll talk about on the show at some point too. Is how to work with other musicians, especially as a keyboardist and a guitarist, and not get in each other's way and work together.
Yeah, I mean, and like I can play it. I can play the stuff that's I can play the stuff, but it's just you got to give me time, and I got to like really think and. It's good stuff, but it's just not something that
we never give him time. We had to play. We had him playing Superstition the other night. I think everybody knows that song. And it come time for the solo, and I was like, Franklin, go! And he took off and played this crazy organ solo. It was great. So don't let him fool you. He's good at it. But yeah, kind of on that topic. We're talking about the gear that we use and the music we like to play and all that. We have some pretty interesting stories about some things that we've found in pawn shops, thrift stores.
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff.
Some of the things that we use on a regular basis where we just happened upon them and got real lucky. And then you're about to learn Franklin's catchphrase, which is, dang it.
Dang it.
Because I'm going to tell you guys a story on Franklin, why I'm mad at him and will be eternally angry at Franklin. But that'll come in a minute.
Oh.
Pawn shop find. What's your best pawn shop find?
Well, my best pawn shop find would be a diddle looper. I went to a pawn shop, a local pawn shop around the area. They put it in a case that was defective. And so I was like, okay. And I looked at the price. $5. Okay. Bought it, $5. Brought it home, plugged it up, just power, turned it on, switch. It's working. Okay, it's got a red light. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna hook it up. Everything, hook it up. Boom, play. Yeah, it's working. It's looping. So it's great. It's $5. I mean, those things cost $100, brand new. So it's still working to this day. I'm like, oh man, that was probably the best feeling, just to be able to find a pedal that costs $100 for $5. I understand, free pedals are even better, but
free pedals.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen very often. But that was probably my best find that I can think of at the moment.
We'll probably talk a lot more about pawn shop finds, and we may actually even do some videos of some stuff that we happen upon. You never know. We're always checking them out.
Yeah.
I have a Fender Vibrochamp, a 70s model. I'm not even sure exactly what year it is. The power cable is taped together with electrical tape. It's very old. One of the real small ones that we bought at a yard sale for $5. It did not work, but I figured at least the Fender logo on the front of the thing was worth $5. So we brought it home, and I had a spare set of tubes I threw in it, and another speaker we plugged into it, and I used it this morning. We went out and played at another church, but man, that thing.
Oh, that thing rocks.
It's so good. It's so small. It's very. It'll trick you really, because it's like, it's tiny. You can crank it and really saturate the tubes, and for $5, man, that thing screams. It's unbelievable. And we'll do some recordings and stuff of it on the show eventually. But now for the moment. Where I'm gonna roll Franklin under the bus.
Yeah, this was
inevitable. This was gonna come out.
This was coming out. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Just go for it.
I'm at work one day. I wasn't enjoying myself, but I was at work. And Franklin sends me a text message. He says, "Hey man, check this out." Yeah. He was at a Goodwill near where we live.
Yeah. Where we work. We work relatively close to each other,
and he sends me a photo and says, "Hey, look what they had at this Goodwill." And it's a Fender Rhodes keyboard. The whole keyboard with a sticker on top that says it works.
Yeah.
Now, this was during the 80s era when it was what was it, owned by CBS? It was called a CBS Rhodes.
Something like that. It was the student model, but it was still Fender. It was a Fender Rhodes.
Rhodes.
And the funny thing is that they mislabeled it. They put it as an organ. They didn't know what it was. I was looking. I was like, oh, okay. And then I wanted to. I wanted to be sure that it worked. Okay, I wanted to be sure that it worked before I bought it, because it was going for a little bit, and we'll tell you the price in a minute. But I wanted to be sure that it worked before I bought it, or actually wanted to be sure of what it was before I bought it, because I literally saw it. I was on my lunch break, so I was like, "Oh," I texted Matt. I was like, "Look,
you pay for it, they will hold it for you, right?"
I should have did that. I should have did that. But yes, continue.
How much did they want for it, Franklin?
They wanted $75.
Yeah, how much roughly is it worth, Franklin?
I could have sold a non-working model for about $900.
Okay, so just so we can get that out there so everybody knows. He sends me a picture of this and says, "Look what I didn't buy."
I didn't say that. I guess you could pretty much put that in, but still, I didn't know.
So I had not had my lunch break yet, and I grabbed my phone and went. So I go to my boss. I'm like, "Can I go on lunch like now, please?" So I ended up having to wait about 20 minutes or so. Got in the car, shot up there, and it was gone. Like there was no trace it had ever been there.
Oh man!
And we wouldn't have sold it. We'd have kept it.
We would have kept it. We would have used it.
We would have used it.
That was the one that got away. That was the one that got away. That was a hard day for me. I should have just put down money, but I didn't. I
would have split it with you easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why if on the show you can tell that there is a little bit of tension between me and Franklin, it's because I'm thinking about that particular instance, and I will never forgive you. I'm sorry.
We still have the photo. I still have the photo of this price tag and everything. It was like, I don't even know what to say, other than I'm sorry, Matt.
All right, guys, that's a little bit about us. Some of the things we use, some of the things we found, and some of the things we like to listen to on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. So you guys press the like button, press the subscribe button, throw some comments, let us know what you guys like to listen to, your favorite worship music, maybe something you found for real cheap that you bought. We love stories, love those kind of things. That would be fantastic.
Yep. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great day.